everybody, or afternoon. It's 1 p.m. in Boston. It's morning in the Pacific time. Good evening. Good 5 a.m. if you're in Australia. Welcome to the Xamarin Community Stand-Up, the .NET Community Stand-Up Xamarin edition. I'm Maddie Legere. I have two of the coolest people I know here with me today. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
I'm James. James Montemagno. I work on the .NET community team, closely side by side Maddie and Shane on the Xamarin components, which is super duper awesome. And also, why did you send me? You sent me a Bing link for Swiss cheese plant. Oh, we have one of these. Why is it called the Swiss Monstera?
Yes.
Interesting. We have one of those.
I didn't know that plant existed until I got in an Animal Crossing, and then I was obsessed with it. But that's the next plant I'm going to buy.
That is the proper home decoration sort of inspiration, is whatever my Animal Crossing house looks like. As we can see, I'm missing a plant. There's a very clear gap of plant that is missing, right? So anyways, that's me.
I'm still just playing Mario Brothers 1, as you can see in the background.
Ooh, did you get the Lego? Did you get the pre-order for the Lego NES, Shane?
No.
Or Maddie?
No, but Chris Hardy did. If anyone knows Chris on the Twitter. I'm so jealous.
I haven't seen that. So it's like a Lego themed NES console.
It's like interactive,
playable. Yeah, there's
like that's cool.
Scrolling everything.
It's the coolest thing. But you'll bring it up in the community links. Maddie,
I have a Zelda themed one. My wife got me one. A friend of ours did like customized old school NES ones. And so he like painted it like the Zelda gold and replaced all the lights like with this cool orange, and it has like the Wind Waker symbol on top of it and everything. Like it's super cool.
That's
nice.
Really cool.
I like that. Yeah. I was a Lego kid growing up. Were either of you two Lego?
I really like Duplos. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I like Duplo.
I did the Techniques a little bit. Is that what they're called? Technics?
I never bought them because I didn't know how to pronounce them.
Yeah, whatever the technical ones are, I did those a decent amount, but otherwise not too much. I wasn't a super toy-oriented kid. I was mainly video games and whatever, like, I don't know. My mom always made me do math problems.
Oh, nice. While we're at it, Shane, who are you?
Oh, yeah. Who is this Shane?
Who am I? I randomly found the link and just joined. And they started talking to me. They're like, sure, why not? I'm Shane Neuville. I'm with the Xamarin.Forms team. Been doing it for about 2.5, 3 years. So I work primarily on shell stuff, visual, and then we're going to be transitioning to a lot of Maui work here soon, .NET Maui work here soon. So
y'all might notice David isn't here. I drove him out. I'm just kidding. He's on vacation. He's taking 2 weeks off. Stop bothering him on Twitter. His daughter's getting married. There's some great stuff happening in the Ortonau fam in St. Louis. Don't bother him. He's responding to tweets and I keep yelling at him. I'm like, you're on vacation. Stop it. He can't. He slacked me yesterday. I was like, what are you doing?
Inappropriate. You got to you really got to disconnect. You know, I don't Intune my phone or anything like that. So
he becomes more active on vacation because he just works on more of his side projects. So he's like pinging us more on our internal channels. Like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Is this working? Yeah, he's way more active.
The only person I know who, actually that's not true, but the only person I know who brags about taking a vacation to write more code. That's true.
I mean, when you think about it, it is one of kind of only the points in times in which a lot of us get to write code. We just have this big hack week Microsoft does every year, but it's hard to sometimes write code. That's why I live code on Fridays on my Twitch channel, which is at James Montemagno. But because I think obviously Shane, like you're writing the bits often, right? And then Maddie, you're writing demos, so like that's when we get to write code. But I guess I wrote the Island Tracker app, but again, that was in side time where it didn't nearly break up our relationship, our marriage, but it was a lot of like, hey, I'm gonna go work for like 3 hours on this thing. Sorry, it
is kind of cathartic just switching to apps, not having to like think as much about like literally every bit you write and how it's going to affect something or like API design or specs or et cetera, et cetera. Like you just, I don't know. It is funny writing code as your vacation, but it's all of us a lot of us started out just because we really liked writing code. So it's kind of fun getting back to that where you just don't have to really think or consider much. It's it's kind of cathartic sometimes.
There was
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Nicolo in the chat says, when you're on vacation, how can you actually stop using your PC, Mac, or mobile devices? Maddie, how do you do vacations? We'll do a round table. Maddie.
How do I do vacations?
Yeah, how do you do vacations?
Oh man, I have no problem turning off the work brain and getting out. No code, no nothing. I play some video games. I actually recently picked up Breath of the Wild again. So, because I took a 4-day weekend. My boyfriend's brother got married in a nice little intimate Corona safe ceremony. It was really cute. So I did that for 2 days. But the other 2 days, I played some video games. I clean a lot on my vacations when I'm not going somewhere. It sounds so thrilling. But I did work on Hack Week stuff last week. I wrote a Xamarin.Forms app. Nice. And it's my first one that I'm not using for a demo, which is exciting. Although I'll probably use it for a demo now because I already did the work. And I did the same thing that I tell people not to do all the time, which is I started it writing it in the trashiest way possible. I did no MVVM. I was like, I'm just going to do everything in code behind. I'm so lazy. Whatever. No one's going to look at this. This isn't a demo app. I have no pressure. And I got like 2 pages in and I was like, I have ruined this for myself. And I went back and I rewrote everything. And now I'm smooth sailing. And I regret it because I always say to people, just do it the right way the first time because you're going to regret it. So,
do it the right-ish way the first time.
Yeah, I can't say it's perfect. There's some logic in some places there shouldn't be. But
I don't know. Sometimes it's easier to refactor than it is to overthink in the beginning, you know? Like once it's actually working and then you just move everything where it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I guess we should do a stand-up, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. Also, I see Cam's in the chat. Everybody congratulate Cam. He's officially a full-time Microsoft employee.
Whoop, whoop.
He's been with Microsoft forever. He's the one who produces like all the Xamarin.Forms 101s that I do and the Xamarin shows that James does. He's like the person who makes it happen, besides Golnaz and Caitlin, who also make it happen. But Cam is the one who's really patient with me and sets up the mic and the lighting, and then I move everything around, and he's like, please stop moving everything around. So congrats, Cam. All right. Speaking of technical things that are happening with streams, James set up this whole new thing called StreamYard. So everything's new. As you know, if you have joined these community stand-ups before, there's going to be a technical glitch because that's
live streaming. That's what happens.
It's live streaming. It's 2020. Nothing makes sense. But it's cool because it's all hosted. There's no OBS. And instead of like all joining a Skype call and sharing our screens, and then also having a Teams on whatever, you just join this call. So hopefully the quality is good. Let us know your feedback on this thing. We're one of the first ones that's doing it. But it has some cool features. Like, first of all, I can put the links up.
Whoa.
What? Nice. I'll also paste them in the chat.
Wah, 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 wah. There you go, little. I don't know what that sound is called. Like, you know, when they do that, like in
the air horn thing.
Wah, 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 wah.
I don't know. I bet my wife knows.
There's some name for that. That's like, I should really know, but I don't. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah. Also, you can always go to live.net. That's also, you can find all the stand-ups. So if you're here on the .NET Foundation YouTube, the Xamarin YouTube, or you're over on the Twitch, Visual Studio Twitch, hit that subscribe or follow button all the time, and you can get notified. We're building out amazing content for these channels. In fact, we're going to be so many shows. You don't even know. There's a new show this afternoon on .NET Live, and also tomorrow building C# or building Visual Studio extensions with Mads. So click those follow buttons wherever you're at. Anyways, there's my ad while you transition your monitor up.
Nice. Perfect. That actually was super smooth. I thought I was going to have to do a lot of clicking, and I did not. Also, do you like my little ticker I made? Live.net.
I like so many banners, so many links. Oh, that's almost perfect. Look at how cool that is. Like the link. Wow.
I'm so excited. I've been shrieking about this for the past hour. It kind of reminds me of when you were waiting to see if your school was canceled and the ticker would come across and be like, oh, like so-and-so high school delay. And you'd be really sad. But kids don't do that anymore. So whatever. Anyways, we got a lot of links. I don't know what day of the week it is anymore. I hope some of you can relate. And I've also been very lazy because summertime and quarantine. So, of course, I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, man, I only know of like 3 blogs. I'm screwed. And then sure enough, I like actually poked into it for 5 minutes and y'all had another crazy month. I said this last month. Like, what? I guess you're all bored because the blogs have been off the charts. Like multiple people that I love and feature on this a lot I'm like, I had to pick one of like 7 blogs. And then there's all these people I haven't heard of before who were coming in. And I have to make sure that they're on my list now. And I'm like, this is too much. So we have a ton of blogs. And 2 tweets that I think James shared, which are cool. Love a tweet. So first and foremost, the link is still up there because this is amazing. Jamie did her usual events of the month blog. This one is virtual events. UnoConf is this month. Also, there is a Xamarin conference in Brazil that's happening that I don't think made this list, but find it on Twitter. And maybe I'll get Jamie to update this. Whole bunch of virtual meetups, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of virtual meetups and other things, though, James, what is this?
Oh, man, I built a new page. Look at this. I built this. It's a thing that happened. Look, I'm a web developer now. No, actually, the .NET Foundation's website's completely open source. And what's really cool about that is that anyone can sort of make pull requests and improvements. So both John Galloway and I have been working on this .NET virtual user group that I'll talk about in the next tab. But in part of that, I wanted to update the meetups page, like on the .NET Foundation. So there's one place, and here, like that's a real map up there of like all the user groups. And I figured out the CSS for that. It was crazy. Whew. And that'll take you over to the meetup. Look at that. Boom. Look at all.
Oh, Microsoft Devs Boston. That's me, I think.
That's you. Boom.
I don't know if that's actually anything I've ever been involved in, but it's near me.
Sure it is. So you can kind of like go to that website and then
That's Veronica.
Oh, that's Veronica speaking. Nice. It's in Cambridge. So it's there. So you can find any of the user groups around you. But what's really cool about that, if you go back, I guess back on that one.
Oh, to this one?
Yeah.
Oh.
So here it'll tell you like how to start a meetup. If you already have a meetup, how to get resources. That's cool. Click on that button, browse resources.
That's a nice bootstrap page, James.
Boom. Right? I know. Man, I'll tell you, HTML. Look at all these workshops. There's a Xamarin workshop. That's brand new. I just built that. Boom. What? Click on that. Oh my goodness.
What?
Oh my gosh. Look at that. You want to do a workshop?
Oh,
Got
wow.
you covered. Man, wow. And I updated it to paths and shapes. I should put some gradients in there next.
Maybe I'll just use this for all of my talks from now on.
Probably.
Content, right?
Probably. So anyways, there's that. And then on the next tab you got there is the virtual user group. I'll talk about this really quick. There's so many user groups. Like you just saw Maddie talk about on the events that Jamie put together. But what if there was one user group that you could join? That's cute, dog. To see all of the upcoming events, right? That's the .NET virtual user group. It's completely free. It's on Meetup. When you go to join today, open that in a new tab right up top. Big.
Join today. Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat.
Yeah.
Everyone's so excited.
Look at 409 people. They're all getting notified about upcoming events. How cool is that?
Who's this? Who's James M? James M.
It's organized by the .NET Foundation. We have a working group together, so it's all really cool. And what's nice about that, there's a bunch of upcoming ones. So instead of having to join a bunch of random user groups, you can join one and boom, it's there. No. And on that page, you'll see some upcoming ones. Not that one, the other one.
Oh, on the other one. On the other one.
You can just see some upcoming ones that are there. Here's what's cool. Check this out. Imagine you're a user group and you're like, oh, I haven't been doing anything. I'm interested in going virtual. You just fill out this form and the .NET Foundation will host your user group on this YouTube.
Here.
On StreamYard. Amazing. That'll happen. Anyways. Exciting. And then you can also just promote your event too. If you just have an upcoming one, you'll get listed on there. Right. And you can also browse past events. There's a whole YouTube playlist that you can go to see past events. How cool is that? Wow. Yep. Amazing. Anyways, that's the news. That's the news. That's the way the news goes, baby. Yeah.
All right. Gerald. He's a community member again, so I can feature this because he was working on Xamarin. Now he's working on some other cool stuff in Microsoft, but still doing Xamarin stuff on the side.
Yeah.
And
he comes down from his high tower to talk to us every so often still. So.
Right. Exactly. He wrote this blog announcing the Xamarin Community Toolkit, which is cool because he's still at Microsoft, so he can still put it under the Microsoft namespace. But it's just a bunch of like simplifications for common tasks you do when you're building Xamarin.Forms app. Shane, I don't know if you have any insight on this besides the fact that it's cool and that James had our best friend in the entire world, James. had started working on stuff like this a long time ago and has been talking about something like this forever.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot. So a lot of this too is a way to ease some of the Maui transition as well, just so there's not as much of a full stop on development happening. So if you look in here, you'll see there's a lot of really cool stuff that Javier added with like a tab view and an app bar that are full. They're basically composite controls, so they're completely built using like Forms elements like grids and shapes and things like that, meaning that it's like a tab bar that works on all the platforms that you can like customize each individual tab. So it's basically just like a grid he's built that's super smart. And then there's a few other, so like a few of the PRs that are sort of larger PRs that we don't want to push into 5.0 yet, since we're doing that API stop. We're kind of putting those into the toolkit so that they're still available to users, but they're not just kind of sitting there. And then a lot of those things, not a lot, but some of those will probably start trickling into actual like .NET MAUI once .NET MAUI is becoming more full form. So it's also just a way so that, you know, the cool stuff like tab view and a lot of those aren't just sitting there. So and it's a good place if you have cool controls or things you want. Like I know Hussein was creating a cool segment control, which would be really cool to push over into the toolkit. I have kind of this cool layout that I built when I was joining as a way to learn the layout system that I really want to push over, which is like it's like an upgrade to relative layout stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's like a really neat space to because like stuff that's sort of in our forms is a little bit harder because it's very locked down as far as like what APIs and stuff. But with the toolkit, we can kind of go a little bit more crazy and just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. This is my favorite part. Because as part of my experience writing his Xamarin.Forms app last week, I had to make 2 converters by myself, and one of them I kept screwing up. And then I was like, I wonder if the community toolkit has converters. And then it did. And I was like, nice. Don't have to do this work that I already did.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look at that. Hussein's on the chat.
Hey,
nice. And Gerald.
Hey, Hussein.
Hussein.
PR your segmented control to the toolkit, Hussein.
Do
it. So
that was awesome.
Real quick on that. So Mark was asking sort of the difference between the scope of MAUI or Xamarin.Forms on this toolkit. Like you kind of think of this toolkit as there is a UWP, like Windows toolkit, right? A Windows community toolkit. There used to be like a Windows Phone toolkit, a Silverlight toolkit, like a WPF toolkit. There's all these toolkits. And what's great about that is that anyone can contribute controls easier and faster and through these as sort of experiments or things that are sort of complementary. Like those converters that maybe aren't going to go into the core, but it sort of has an oversight committee from the community that can kind of go in there, which I think is really cool. So, yeah.
There are docs for the toolkit.
And there's docs.
Contribute. I'm excited.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, 2 tweets. I'm going to move quickly through these ones. 1, data.
Cool.
This is a Sharp thing. The Git repo is down here. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm going to butcher this name, and I'd rather just not butcher it in public because I would feel bad. But look at these sick charts. Look at that. Charts. Using Sharp on an iPhone. Not an iPhone. Look at that. Oh, very exciting. So check out this GitHub repo, Skia-chart. It's just Skia, so it's probably pretty light too. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then I know Javier's been building some of these chart samples in the new drawing and shapes APIs as well. Oh. So he has some samples with those things that'll be coming out. He's on vacation this week, but he'll be back next week. And yeah, he's doing. Yeah, there's another. I forget who. Somebody, David would know, but I know somebody in the community was testing out the shapes and stuff, converting their plotting library as well to a lot of the shape stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Xamarin.Forms team slacking off. Javier on vacation. David on vacation. No, everyone needs a vacation. Everyone works really hard. Okay. This is just a cool GIF. Honestly, I was excited, but it's the shared transition kind of clicking on the watch is this YouTube video here. So it's not a blog, so we can't like go through it, but it is a YouTube video about how to do this shared transition in Xamarin.Forms, which is pretty cool because it looks nice and watches are cool. Telerik came out with 4 new Xamarin.Forms sample apps, 4 open source. Look at them. So great there's the customer, the CRM one. There is the task management one. Everyone loves a good to-do app. And there's an ebook that's free.
Gotta have an ebook.
Yeah. So I downloaded it and then I started reading it. And then I was like, man, I haven't read a book in a long time. I forgot how to do this. But I didn't finish it. But the first part of it was really good. I liked it a lot. So
how do you say their company?
Telerik.
I say Telerik, but I've also heard Telerik.
I don't know.
How do you say
I think I picked Telerik.
Tomato.
And if Dave says it, I'm just going to assume that either I'll blame it on him. Sorry, Dave. Or like he's done the research.
I wasn't sure. We were in I was doing one of my podcasts and my friends live in New York and we distinctly say something completely like different. So I wasn't sure if it was like a Boston sort of, pronunciation.
No.
Or not. So I'm not sure.
Drinking enough to have a Boston accent.
Get some coffee.
So, a Boston accent this morning. Although I do have my Celtics gear on. They blew up the Nets last night.
Yeah, I always tell my wife that Maddie's the most Boston person I've met.
Yeah, she's more Boston than my family.
Around with me when I was tired, drinking, and watching sports, which are really my 3 triggers for Bostonian behavior. So, yikes. Steven, I saw in the chat, Pancake View 2.0. I had pancakes for dinner 2 nights ago. So exciting. I don't know who puts a whole banana on their pancakes, but
why not?
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's a smiley. It's a smiley. Did you see that?
Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that. I was wondering why this whipped cream was not on the other pancake. I thought that was kind of dumb, but maybe it was artsy.
Steven is artsy.
Both can be right.
Yeah. So Steven I like to say, he is pretty much one step ahead of Xamarin.Forms in some of our stuff all the time. Like it's Javier's like just trying to do Steven's stuff except first party. So that's why he's got improved gradients. We just have some gradients Shane's going to talk about in a little bit. But Pancake View has some cool new gradients involved. Border and shadow stuff, which is exciting.
Nice.
Yummy Pancake View, favorite namespace.
Can you zoom in a little bit on these, Maddie?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Hold on.
Get that high resolution.
Gradients improved.
I mean, that website scales nicely, by the way. So I'm just
saying. I would expect nothing less from Steven. So if Steven had a bad website, he'd never hear the end of it from me. Fantastic. Also, Pancake View on Mac OS.
Nice.
Very cool. Source link. Yeah, Steven's not doing UWP anymore, which is okay because it's a lot of work, but you should contribute to it. Morgan, if you're here, I'm looking at you. I know you love doing the UWP PRs. So let's go for that. And then he has an update about it because people are going to talk about it. So before you want to go talk and angrily tweet, read the update. Good. Okay, this is from the first prototype on Medium, which I stumbled upon. It has a lot of good blogs. I couldn't find a name. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. But if you're the first prototype, hi. And this person went through with a getting started, C#, Xamarin University, everything thing. And this is actually really timely because at the hackathon last week for Microsoft, our big hack week they do company-wide, I had a couple people, colleagues from different teams reach out to me and go, where do you start with Xamarin? And I was like, Xamarin.com. Then I just found this. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Sorry. Then I found this. And it is really nice. It's a really good extraction. And it's got this chart. So you can go through all of these. This is the old Xamarin University syllabus. So all that content is still up. It's on Microsoft Learn now, but you can go and follow this. And MS Learn has kind of an updated syllabus. And then there's still the Xamarin native stuff. Obviously, like some things are out of date. That's why we try to keep fresh content with the Xamarin.Forms 101s and the Xamarin 101 series that Matt and Brandon did and the Xamarin shows. But if you're looking to kind of point people to a flow chart, this is a good flow chart to point them to. So this is not a blog, but John Galloway was on Jesse Liberty's podcast, which is great. And John's great. So check it out. He works on .NET Community now, officially, but he was on DS for Mac for a brief bit, and then he was on .NET before.
John's on my team.
John's on James's team.
Yeah.
So cool. I love John. He's a great guy. And Jesse's a very fun podcast host. So he's got it like down to a science. I'm going to have him come help us out with like our stream setup. All right. Dylan talking about something that's real hot right now, mobile Blazor bindings. And I think this is not the blog I clicked on because this is now saying updated on February 24th because there's no 24th month, right? But this is a cool blog. I can't remember where. I think maybe someone retweeted it. That's probably why this came up. And I was like, oh, because I remember Dylan wrote a mobile Blazor bindings blog, and I was like, oh, this is an update. It's not an update. It's just the same one. But I was like, update.
Still awesome nonetheless.
Still awesome nonetheless.
Well, there was a new release of
have been hot right now, so that's why I was like, whoa, this is very timely. But this is actually, it's all coming back to me now. This is actually a really good blog. I remember reading through this in detail back in February. So I'm not going to go through it again, but it's a really good getting started if you're interested in mobile Blazor bindings, which I know we've heard a lot of recently when it comes to Maui and all the things and all the world. So check this one out. Hi, Dylan, if you're here. All right. Zam Girl, Charlene's got event triggers to show and hide a password. So the quintessential Zam Girl blog, it's easy to follow. It's got good code samples. Let me zoom in a little bit. I am really bad with event triggers. I just find them really confusing. And this was a pretty easy to follow blog. I was like, nice. All right. Just set is password to a event trigger.
Boom.
Not too bad. I usually am just like, oh, is it a password? Sucks. You just can't look at it then. Sorry. Our good old friend Sharpnado, Jean-Marie, started investigating some stuff. And apparently Dylan, not Dylan, oh my goodness. I just read Dylan's post is terrific intro, which it is. Brandon started his app Git Trends, which is like, a Git app. It's very cool. It's all open source. It's amazing. And the community's been pretty interested in it. But there's been a lot of like garbage collection stuff with it. And so Jean-Marie said, I'll go investigate. So he literally like shows how to do it's particularly, we think, collection view. We don't know yet. But the garbage collection size just keeps growing forever. And so what he did, this is my favorite part of this, is he goes through who's guilty. Could it be Steven's pancake view? I don't know, Steven. Could it be? Could it be his own material frame? But he switched them to simple frame, and it turns out like there's something weird about the collection view. If you just scroll like eternally, it doesn't do the garbage collection right. So this is actually a really interesting bug that could possibly be in Android. It could possibly be in Xamarin.Forms, but he found it by just investigating it and then writing a blog about it. So if you're having issues with your app in particular when it comes to like size management, definitely check this out and see if you can replicate these steps. And that also makes it easy for the teams to debug when we.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
It's called
a clue mystery of garbage collection.
Yeah, it's like a cool and how do you investigate it in general, and like what tools you're using and how you diagnose it. And then also remember, it also depends on like what you're using too, because how the garbage collector works is like, it only needs to clean up stuff when it needs to clean up stuff. So if you're running it on like your, Mac that has infinite RAM, it's like, okay, it's just going to keep growing, right? Until it needs to not grow in general, until you force it to grow. But even then the garbage collector just does what it wants to do. So usually I just say in garbage collector, I trust, but it's good to kind of see how to debug through it.
Yeah.
Be one with the garbage collector.
I am always afraid. What? Okay. Where? Okay. So this one's funny because it started with a Jason Smith tweet, which is, things are about to get lit if Jason starts tweeting about Xamarin in 2020. But he just mentioned offhandedly that if you use one-time bindings, you can actually get performance benefits instead of having to do two-way bindings with your XAML stuff, which is a little bit heavier. So, and this is kind of for MVVM. I think I can't remember what blog it is, but I read a really good blog, like intro to bindings and one way versus two way versus all this stuff. And if I find it, I'll post it in the chat after I'm done talking. But he goes through some of the cases where you might just want to use a one-time binding and actually get some performance benefits. So when it comes to commands, collection view, and static data, I think those were the 3 top level things that he mentioned, like, hey, just try using a one-time binding here and it might actually make your app a little bit faster.
I should try that. Yeah, because a lot of times we use bindings just to display data. And every time you do that, it is assuming that there's going to be a change. So there's probably registering for events every single time. But yeah, if you're just having static content, then you don't really need to. It'd be the equivalent to just saying like .text equals. So
yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, I should do that too. Okay. Rendy talking about binding libraries. So I think this one in particular is Swift. I scrolled earlier. Yeah, so we go through creating an iOS binding library for your Xamarin app. This is Visual Studio for Mac. You get all the native stuff plugged in. Boop, 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 boop. Add in the native reference. Deal with some build errors. That means he's a good developer. And okay, yeah, maybe I just didn't scroll far enough this morning. Got the Android one too. Pretty cool. But the binding, the iOS one, we've heard a lot of questions about because of all the Swift stuff lately. And this is a really good blog. And the second follow-up to this is using the pay.card SDK.
Oh, cool.
And binding that. So it's kind of a very hands-on example. So definitely check these ones out.
Is that his credit card? I like that.
Oh, no. No,
I don't think it is.
The person's name is Sheldon and expired in 2017.
Oh,
this one, Liam cardholder. It's fake. Okay, good. Shouldn't have looked on stream. It's fine. Finally, last one, Excel files made from your Xamarin.Forms app. So this is about exporting data into an Excel format. You got the model, the contact model, got some classes to organize everything, but then it's all the magic really happens in an Excel generator class that Leah Marius wrote. That's just, workbook.save. Pretty good. I mean, I can't remember what plugin she said she used for this, but it's all on GitHub. And then you can export it right to Excel from the phone.
That's cool.
It is cool. I think about could you send us the links? It's hardly visible in the video. Sorry, I just saw that in the chat. I can't.
This big one right there. Links.
Oh.
The big links, urllist.com/Xamarin.Standup. Yeah.
Hide it. Show it.
Show
yeah,
it.
I never thought about how I would export data from an app to a format that's like an Excel format, because I just know how to do that using like Python or something. But this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That's it. I'm going to stop talking.
Nice.
Shane, do you want to walk us through the few PRs we have today and then transition into our Xamarin.Forms stuff?
Shane have PRs? Ooh, nice. Also, by the way, if people are brand new to the .NET Community Stand-Up while Shane's getting the monitor up, normally what we do is we do like community links and community PRs in the beginning, and then we do like some technical demo and stuff. And Shane is going to do some overview of gradients and magical stuff in Xamarin.Forms 4.8, which just came out. Did it come out today? I've been waiting. I've been refreshing.
Not yet.
Soon.
Oh,
soon.
New preview.
4.8. It's soon. It's percolating.
It's like, yeah, it's in there. So also while you're getting that up, I'll answer a few other questions. People like the Mario picture in the back. I think that's dope.
Nice.
Also, someone was asking just about kind of maybe newer to Xamarin, but Mark was asking kind of Xamarin.Forms versus what Maui is, and then also Uno. So Uno is a company that they kind of build on top of different pieces of technology like Xamarin and UWP and WebAssembly, and their goal is to bring sort of UWP or Xamarin.Forms like apps to the web in cross-platform way. So that's what they do. That's what Uno does, which is cool, awesome. And then Xamarin.Forms, right, enables you to build cross-platform apps for iOS, Android, Mac, Windows. And .NET Maui is an evolution of Xamarin.Forms. So that's sort of the next step. You should go back to the live.net. We did a build recap where we talk all about the .NET Maui stuff. And there's also a great session by Maddie and David talking all about that stuff. So, and that is .NET 6 stuff. So that's going to be like next fall. So you got a ways to go, but that's all open source there too. Volkeel was asking what's new in Xamarin.Forms and .NET 5. A lot of the new stuff with .NET MAUI will be .NET 6. And then, of course, there'll be new versions of Xamarin.Forms, updates to the runtime, things like that. But a lot of the new stuff will be there. And we should do like maybe next month, or we'll do like an impromptu Xamarin.Forms Ask Me Anything or something. But
Ooh, that could be fun.
Anyways, did Shane get his computer up?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Add to stream.
Boom.
Yes. No. Yeah. Cool. All right. So I was just going to run, as Maddie was kind of talking through stuff, it reminded me of a few PRs to kind of highlight through that we have kind of pending, and then just some work that's been done here. So just wanted to highlight Christopher here. So this is Christopher's first PR, which has been around for longer than I'd like to admit, but we finally kind of honed in on a nice little API that we think we're gonna that he's gonna be able to integrate. So this is adding some badge support stuff to Shell, which is super cool because he did a great job just doing it sort of full on. As you can see, it's adding it to like top tabs, bottom tabs, flyouts, and then the newest update also works with brushes. So if you look down here, he plugs brushes. Yeah, I have to admit that I like brushes. That's what everyone says. So look, cool. You get this neat little gradient. Check that out. Ooh,
that's so pretty.
Yeah.
Looks like cotton candy. I want it.
I love cotton candy. I used to eat so much that I would just make myself sick every time.
It's just sugary air.
Yeah, but it's so good. And like, I don't touch it. I just like stuff it in my face. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah.
I miss cotton candy. Yeah, so that's really cool. This is kind of a big deal. So we've been talking about adding stuff like this to forms for a bit here. So Easy did a push here for radio buttons. So one of the big things with radio buttons is like iOS doesn't really have this concept of radio buttons. And like with checkbox, what we did is we drew a lot of those at the iOS layer. But now with a lot of Javier's stuff, we can draw a lot of that stuff cross-platform. So what he's basically done is he's created this concept here of being able to define like control templates for radio button. And then you can customize it. Let's see if there's kind of does he have a content presenter example in here? No, I don't see it. But yeah, basically what you can do is you can specify the content for it, and then via like a content presenter, like in UWP, you can sort of position the radio button relative to different content. So this is the beginnings of being able to sort of use control templates to articulate sort of more granularly how controls lay out. So, because I know that was one of the big conversations with checkbox is people really want to add text to checkbox, but one of those things are always really tricky because it's easy to just add text, but then people are like, well, I want to be able to do a font image source. So I want to be able to put it to the left. I want to be able to change the size. I want to be able to change it, except I want to be able to change the padding. So there's always a lot more you need to do beyond just adding something. So radio button is sort of our example of doing that. So yeah, if you're interested in control templates, if UWP control templates make you super excited, this is a really good PR to check out. So yeah, we'll be dissecting this one a decent amount. And this should be coming to a 5.0 release near you. Yeah, so this one's going to get probably a lot of conversation, especially internally, as far as how we want to pull this together. C# for markup here. So this is Vincent doing the next part 2. I haven't looked through this, but this is, we're kind of shutting down the APIs before 5.0. Yeah, so Vincent, if you're listening, retarget this to 5.0. But yeah, so it's with him getting a PR in before that July 15th date. I think he created this like on the 13th or so. Yeah, 14th to hit that deadline. So this is adding a bunch of support to things for the markup stuff. So if you really like that, this is kind of like the next version of that coming.
Nice.
Yeah, and then let's see, our intern here, Melissa, is put together a PR to fix a bunch of date time picker localization issues. I know this has been a big pain for people for a long time, making sure that these locales and everything are working. So yeah, if you have any sort of locale issues or anything around date time picker localization stuff, this will be a really good add to Forms. So yeah, she's been awesome. It's been exciting working with her. So yeah, so that's a good one to look at. This one seems a little bit abstract, but I just wanted to highlight it really quick. So everyone's been kind of running into the UI web view issue on iOS. So this is the flag that you would have to enable to make it work. So in the latest 16.7 and VS Mac 8.7, this flag is now just set by default.
Whoa.
Yeah. So essentially what this means is, given a Xamarin.Forms template, like even just the basic template app, if you have at least link SDKs only on when you're doing your release, it'll remove the UI web view.
Perfect.
So, and you should be doing link SDKs only anyway. Like that's just set by default in the release builds. So yeah, I've tested this and Gerald tested it. But yeah, like right now, if you go into 8.7 or 16.7 and you create a new Forms app and you set it to release and you build it, if you inspect like the binaries, there's no UI web view in there. So this should hopefully help that friction a bunch once people update to 8.7 and 16.7, now that it's just part of the default. Because yeah, I know there's been a lot of confusion here because there's like a few different ways you can do this. iOS has some flags, which does some like force removal of UI web view, which it's kind of a roll of the dice if that'll work. Because if you're using a third-party library that still references the UI web view, you'll get a runtime crash. So, but you know, if it's not using it, then it is useful. So, yeah. So if you're still getting issues with UI web view using 8.7 or 16.7, check your linker settings, and then check your third-party libraries that you have if they're using UI web view. So the only one we found a couple. Material was, but we updated Material, so that one should be good. And then you had mentioned Blazor, so I wanted to highlight this one here. So I'm going to say Mr. Gordon. Lachlan? I'll go with Lachlan. Hopefully that's right, Lachlan Gordon. Lachlan Gordon, community member, submitted this super awesome PR here for bringing shell navigation to Blazor. Yeah, which is a ton of work here, and it's super neat. Let me see if he has the indication. So basically, like with Blazor, you can just declare your route on the pages at the page level, and then it uses some of the shell hooks and whatnot to then register those pages. So it calls like the routing.registration stuff for you. Yeah, so really neat. I'm excited to play with this stuff. I'm hoping in a couple weeks to do a stream of this stuff, which will probably involve demonstrating how much I haven't really done a lot of Blazor more than maybe being useful for shell. But I'll try to get up to snuff on that enough that it's useful. But yeah, so this is a really cool. A lot of the Blazor bindings, that stuff's moving really fast. A lot of people are excited about it and pushing work in that direction. So yeah, it's cool. It makes it Blazory. It makes shell Blazory, which is really neat. Let's see, Maui renderers. So this is kind of a first journey, our first kind of a spike. Just if you're sort of if you're interested in the Maui guts, right now we're sort of figuring out the trajectory of bringing the optimization at the renderer level, of how to start migrating everything. So this is a PR that we'll be talking about with the team in about 14 minutes. Yeah, so if you're kind of curious about where we're going, this was kind of my first spike of shifting some of our stuff to Maui structures so that things like Blazor and Comet and whatever can possibly start moving alongside us, and we can kind of start the work. So yeah, a lot of this work is going to really start hitting full throttle here in a couple of weeks, which will be really cool. Yeah, so then that's all the PRs. And then just as a quick, another so a couple quick 4.8 highlights. We added drag and drop. I added a drag and drop gesture recognizer.
Yeah, I want to know all about this, Shane, because I saw it in the draft blog post from Jake, and I was like, whoa, who? And because there was no example, and I was like, what do? I want to know. So I need you to tell me about this.
Yeah, it's super. It's fun. So I sent Jake a link. So I have a PR. That's what this sample is here, which has some drag and drop samples. So I'm pushing this to the Xamarin samples once the 4.8 binaries are up. So currently, so basically the implementation we took was just taking, it mirrors the UWP drag and drop APIs very closely. So a lot of the only difference is that the UWP ones are on UI element. So they're part of the element itself. Whereas since we do everything with recognizers, we split it out into recognizers. So basically, you attach a drag gesture recognizer to the element you want to drag. You turn can drag to true. I'm probably going to default this to true once this is final. It's currently experimental, I guess is another a good thing to highlight. So there's an experimental flag to add for drag and drop, and then it'll be final as a 5.0. But yeah, so basically all you do is add a drag gesture recognizer, and then where any components that you want to make drop capable, you add the drop gesture recognizer to here. So this here, let me bring up the sample. What you're seeing here on the left is this example right here. So really you can just click on the dog. See there, it creates the clip for you. So this is creating the clip art on Android. And then you can drop it here, and it drops the image here.
What?
So this is basically what Forms is trying. Forms tries to best guess the data being dragged. So if you're attaching it to an image and dropping it to an image, it does its best to sort of pull the data and then transfer it to the new element. If you're doing any text, it does the same thing. So it tries to project the text. So for example, if this was text of a URL and you dragged it to the image would show up. It also can drag things outside of the app. And then it also has a lot of the same hooks with other drag stuff if you want to sort of manipulate the data being transferred. The API for that matches UWP as well with the data package. So on like the dual screen here, you can see that there's a bunch of events here for setting like drag over, text drag over, drop image, where you can kind of grab the data package and you can, set the data package to whatever you want. Right now, the main data package types we support are text and image, and then we'll start expanding those. So image is basically an image source, and then text is just string text. So the string text currently is able to exist multi-app. So if you set the text to anything, it'll transfer that text data to a separate window. Wow. So that's kind of like the example I wanted to show here real quick. If you see, this is two different apps. So this is the drag and drop sample over here, and this is the sandbox sample. I can click this puppy here and drag it down here, and it'll load over here. Because basically what this is doing is that when I click this, it's stringifying the URL, because this is using a URL. And then when I drop it here onto this image, it's attempting to set the image source on here to this text. So it does kind of a best guess as far as trying to pull your data over. And then you can see this is kind of a similar thing here, being able to just drop text.
That's cool.
Drop text down to it. So a lot of it is just trying to make it work as out of the box as possible. Because a lot of the APIs, I kind of went in inverse direction. So a lot of the APIs require you to sort of build up what you can drag and drop. So you have to set like these accepted operations and things like that to sort of, there's a lot of ceremony to set it up. Whereas the way we went with it was just, I wanted to make it so you basically just add some recognizers and then you can drag and drop. If you want to disable, then you can disable things through like the events. So play with that. Let me know. It'll be final in 5.0. experimental in 4.8. So play with it. Let me know additions or APIs you don't like. There's in 5.0, a few more things are gonna come to it. Better native support for being able to tap in at the native level to drag and drop stuff. Visual states. So ideally, you'd be able to wire this stuff up through Visual State Manager. So like, for example, this image will go through a few different states of being like dragging, and then the drop one will go through different states of like enter, leave, etc., which will let you say, style things based on the state of other things.
So like right now you intercepted the events because Hussein was asking, can you intercept the events? And the answer is yes. And you're like, hey, set the background when a hover basically is on top of it.
Exactly. So like, for example, that the effect you see here with it turning gray like that. Yeah. So that's done right here in this code. So basically when the drag is starting, set the text frame background color to gray. When the drag is completed, set it back to light gray.
So does that mean I can make it wiggle when I pick it up, like the apps on iOS? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
To play an animation, I guess.
Yeah.
Not right now, because the tricky thing is that a lot of the drag stuff is done by extracting out an image of the data. So the animation and those things are done as a separate component to the base component. So like when you're dragging this image here, this image that you see here, this isn't actually like a Xamarin.Forms image. It's a clip art that's taken out of it. That's what allows it to drag across screens. See, because like if I'm dragging this to another app, the other app has no idea what a Xamarin.Forms image is. So you have to create it as a data package that that's understandable outside of it. So even like on the iOS side, you have to sort of just transfer the NS object level of things. So that's the area where the 5.0 is going to have some better platform level hooks, because iOS has a lot of different stuff at the platform level to customize the animations and things like that. So we'll smooth out the XPlat experience with that with probably Maui. But then if you want to get sort of into the super bits of drag and drop, then you would probably do it through renderers and such. And then the other quick note is that currently this isn't set up with tight integration on collection view. I haven't really tested on collection view, so there might be an aspect of it that works. But that's also going to be coming with 5.0. So the thing about drag and drop with collections is that it's not just a symmetrical implementation at the platform levels. So like the UI collection view, the UWP list view, and like the Android adapters all have very specific drag and drop like delegates and things like that you have to tap into for the collections to make it work. So like even on Windows, the UWP list view has a property called can resort items, I think is what it's called, and things like that. So it kind of requires a different extra implementation to make it work with collection view stuff. So the Craig Dunn actually did a sample doing it with collection views in the Forms samples repository you can look that he used effects for, which is really cool. So I'll probably copy and paste most of the work he did. But cool. Yeah, so the drag and drop stuff, it's really exciting, especially for the dual screen things, being able to just drag and drop across, like the windows and things like that.
Beautiful.
So so it's cool. So that was kind of one of the big pushes for it as well, was lighting up more dual screen options, and then also sort of adding fun features to Forms stuff. So so really play with it for 4.8, and then we can make it work for you super awesome 5.0.
Yeah.
So the chat had a really good idea that was like creating a tiled dashboard and then just dragging and dropping to rearrange them all.
Yeah. So like that, you could do that really easily with like a flex layout or a bindable layout even, because you can still get information about the drag and information about the element being dragged. So, you can, there's drag over events that fire. So for example, when I'm doing this, you can get a drag over event on this control here. Like this control right now is firing a bunch of drag over events. And from that drag over event, you can sort of modify how you want it to look. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do even outside of collection view with changing your layouts. So with the dashboard stuff, that'll be what some of the neat stuff that comes with collection view is, natively when you're enabling the drag and drop, the native control is going to have sort of native animations for that stuff as it's processing the event. So
Cool.
yeah, but it's neat. It was fun. I don't know. I was excited to get this working. I think it's fun just kind of dragging things around.
I like that. And I think that, like, if I'm correct, like the collection view and the list view resorting, it's different because that actually like automatically like updates your like list, your observable collection, right? Like, doesn't it behind the scene like rearrange your elements? Yeah.
So that's because that's basically a lot of it too, is that there's information that's projected. So like on UWP, it will actually if the supporting source supports like move operations and things like that, it'll apply those to the underlying collection. And then like on Android and iOS via delegates, it'll say, hey, just so you know, they moved index 23 to index 5, and then you kind of can handle those behaviors. So yeah, there's more wiring in on that side for being able to project those changes to the collection to sort of ease the process. So
nice.
Yeah.
Great. All right, show me some gradients.
Yeah.
You want me to cut you off in 2 minutes so you can go join the Maui planning meeting? Or
no, I can just show you gradients real quick here.
Right.
Now keep Shane on forever. He doesn't get to go to the planning meeting.
That's kind of how I feel, but
yeah, that's kind of the last thing here. So this is kind of a dual demo here. So one of the things we added to the 4.8 release is backdrop, shell flyout backdrop.
Oh,
so
nice.
what this is it's this display here. So on Android, they call it scrim. There was a big conversation about what to call it. On Android, this is called the scrim, which I think comes from theater. Bootstrap calls it the backdrop. I don't know. There was a lot of different conversations about the naming on it. But Android's the only one that implements it natively. But we added this to iOS and UWP on Shell, so you can see. Ooh.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know about this at all. I didn't know about this. What the heck?
And maybe show I don't even know, how do you do gradients? How does that even work?
I'm probably not the best person to ask, but I'll show you the code I copy and pasted from Javier.
I like that.
Yeah, I think we'll have Javier on one of the next ones. Like I mentioned earlier, he's on vacation.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just using a linear gradient brush that he set up. So I can kind of parse out what this does, but yeah, I mean, basically it's just saying, where these colors kind of start and stop, and then it smooths the transitions between them. Yeah, so that's my extremely non-technical description of that. And then I don't have my debugger running, but the shell flyout backdrop stuff works at like the flyout item level. So for example, if you do shell.flyout backdrop equals purple right here, then when you're on this flyout item, it'll be purple. And when you're on this item, it'll be the gradient one.
Wait, so I can have different gradients depending on the page I'm on?
Yeah.
Or different backdrop? Oh, man.
Yeah.
So many colorful things. It's going to look like a rainbow sherbet pop. And all that.
Yeah. So you can do it. So this was neat. This was even a little tricky on Android, because on Android, they only you can only set a color. You can't actually set a brush. So I did copy and paste some random stuff from Android source to make this work with a brush, but excited we got it to work because that's cool. It's fun to just kind of play with it. So
what else can you set that to? Can you set that only to a color, or can you set it to like anything? Could I set it to another like stack layout with a bunch of other stuff inside of it?
No, it's just
Okay.
a brush.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a brush. So
I don't know why I would, by the way. I'm saying I don't need to, and I don't want to.
In
But
theory, once brushes reach a certain point, you probably could, because there's even things, brushes are pretty extensible, extendable. So like you've been able to add, people have added like image brushes and things like that to, UWP and WPF. So this is just a brush. So in theory, if you just implement your own brush, that can translate itself to convert itself to like a drawable on Android or like a type of iOS layer, then you could. So yeah, I mean, that was the other reason we pulled this out of 4.7 was because of the brush support. We wanted to make it just work with brushes instead of colors. But yeah, so that'll be part of 4.8, and then we'll end the transmission with an IntelliSense.
Maddie, when do I get these color things?
Soon. Oh yeah, aren't those color previews nice, everybody?
When do I get those? What's up with that?
That should be on 16.7.
I think it's 7, which came out yesterday. I tried to drop the release notes in the chat earlier, and I don't think they loaded, but it's fine.
Yeah,
same glitch. But yeah, we have a new, not new anymore. I guess he's been with us for like 4 months now. It feels like simultaneously 1 week and 2 years. That's how 2020 feels. But Josh Spicer, cool last name. We got John Peppers. Now we got Josh Spicer.
Spice and pepper.
We just need someone named like Salt or something.
We back in Boston. Sorry to interrupt, Maddie. Back in Boston, in the original Xamarin office, there used to be a like a Mongolian grill. It was called like Fire and Ice. I heard it was terrible or amazing. I don't know, but I used to go there all the time. That's what it kind of reminds me of, the spice and the pepper. Although those are both hot things, but it kind of reminds me.
So it's really easy to screw it up because you have like an infinite buffet and you can just add whatever you want. So what I always do is I add way too much and that's disgusting.
Yeah, those really stress me out. Like I can't do like fajitas or anything where I have to prepare it myself because it's way too stressful for me. Because I know
go away. Sorry. David, go away. Go away.
Maybe this is his vacation. He just likes to see these beautiful faces. He misses us so much that we are his vacation.
Is he in the Twitch stream? I don't have a Twitch stream up.
He's in the YouTube. One of the 8 YouTubes that we're streaming to currently.
Incredible. Just doing wedding flowers. Okay, this is good background noise for wedding flowers. I get it. But yes, color previews will be or should be in the latest stable. And Josh implemented them. It was one of his first projects as part of the Xamarin team.
Good Josh.
Sick. And I love them.
So if I open up the Visual Studio installer, things are getting, I got to update the installer to update. So I'm updating, bootstrapping. I'm installing 100 megs.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not a big update.
Well, it's an update for the updater.
Oh, right. Okay, sorry. Hold on. I should do the same thing.
It's installing.
Are you still sharing my screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Let me not do that.
Toggle it off. There you go.
That's the wrong one. This is the right one.
Did you share something inappropriate?
No, I've just been sitting here. I was gonna go look at the Twitch thing, but
okay. No, now you're good. You only have one monitor, Shane. You need multiple.
Yeah, I need to get a second one set up here.
Yeah.
My installer only needed 73 megabytes of an update, James.
Pretty good. Oh, I see it. 16.7.0. All right, I'll update that when I'm done here. Perfect.
Nice. Amazing. Nice. All righty. Well, we will see you all in a month. I'm very excited. Hopefully David makes it back from vacation alive. Let us know what you'd like to see on the next one. If there's anything in 4.8 or 5.0 that you're interested in, if there's Maui stuff you're interested in, if there's tooling stuff you're interested in, if you want us to just talk about how cool we are for an hour. That too. But I will see you all next month.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.